Welcome to the Fuck the Generational Wealth Gap podcast with your host, Elise Alexander. I am your go-to fam for creating a wealthy life and getting rid of all the baggage that comes with codependency and perfectionism. It is not an easy trip, but you better bet your ass it's worth it and you are worthy of it. So today on our first episode, we are going to go through a little bit of an intro of why I created a podcast, why the generational wealth gap is so important, and really focusing on this idea where we all feel like we have nothing to say. Do you guys ever feel like that? Where you feel like you have nothing to say? I was that person that always said that I had nothing to say. And I'll tell you that we all have something to say. We all have something beautiful that comes from within us that really gives us our key of a wealthy life. Because to me, wealth is not just about money, it's not just about riches, it's about how we live our life. And I think that that's such a key, important aspect to what we do because we're so focused on empire building, being in this masculine energy that we forget. Does it have to be that way? Does it really have to be aggressive, or can we make it what we want it to be? Can we have life come first and business second and still build an empire? Well, that's why I'm here, because I have the intention of giving you as much value as I can so that you can create your own wealthy life. Because let's be honest, we don't want what our parents wanted. We don't want what our grandparents wanted. We want something totally different. And for me, I wanted a life that I wanted to live every day, not just once I get to the mountaintop, but really focusing on every day of your life because this whole life is beautiful. And when we push it and we pretend like certain days aren't happening so that we can get to the next, it doesn't suit us. It doesn't benefit us. There's no point in skipping days. I want all of them to be beautiful and all of them to be wealthy. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an intro of why I started Fuck the Generational Wealth Gap podcast, because I think a lot of people might be a little like, ooh, that's kind of a lot, Elise. And I would say, yeah, but you know what? It's time for a lot because a little's not working anymore. And at the end of the day, we really, as a humanity, are going on a different level. There are so many more light workers and spirituality and essence coming into this energy of this world that wealth no longer means one thing. And that each of us kind of need our own step by step to get to our own definition of what wealth is, because everyone has a different one, just like we are all looking for fulfillment and not just money. So I started this podcast to start to really give my listeners and to give people their little step by steps on how to get to where I've gotten to. Because I'll tell you, releasing limiting beliefs around money, especially around the way we live our lives. Oh my gosh, you guys, it is dramatic. It's aggressive. It is in your face. And I always thought if you had a problem in the boardroom, then you definitely had a problem in the bedroom, and you definitely had a problem in your life because everything is not like segregated. Everything is not over here around me. And if you can't see me, it's because you're listening to the podcast and you're not on the YouTube channel. But it's about everything around, and it's about enveloping into what can you do for you, because everybody's going to be different. So for me, this podcast is a way to show not just the mediocrity of what we are creating in terms of like, oh, you know what, maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Maybe I'll do that next week. Maybe I feel like, just one day I'll wake up and doing it. You guys, there's always an excuse. There's always going to be something that's going to push you. It's not perfect enough. It's not good enough. Oh, you know what? I need someone else's help. It doesn't look pretty enough. I am a recovering perfectionist and a recovering codependent. And I'll tell you that it has been harder for me to figure out how to build a business, to figure out how to build a brand, and to really step into my vulnerability of myself so that I can shine. Because it is only when we step into ourselves and our wealth that we can create more wealth. Because when you try to copy, when you try to be someone else, have you noticed that it never works for you? Because it doesn't, because we can't be anybody else, because the world needs what you have. They need exactly only the way that you can give it. And I never realized that about myself. Like I would always be like, oh, you know what? Like someone else can do it. Yeah, I'm cool. we'll be here and we'll be good at what we do, but like I don't need to be identified in that way. And what I'm realizing is that we all want that fulfillment. We all want to be that, not that person who's like, oh my God, they're really good at that thing, but to really give a passion and a part of yourself. I always really wanted to help people, but I didn't really know what that meant. I had no idea how to make money at something that I was good at. That's something that naturally came from me that I could give to others. And it's not coaching for everybody. It's a lot of different things. It's being a practitioner, it's being a fundamentalist, it's being a creator, it's being music. There's so much involved in a way to give our own selves to the world the way that we want to, that feels good to us. Because don't you want to make money that feels good to you? Like, doesn't that sound like a good time? You want to make money that feels good to you. So every week, we're going to do an episode that focuses solely on how to make money that feels good to you and how to create a wealthy life that you structure. Because this is not an easy road. There's a reason why only so many people do it. But it is so worth it. It is so 100% worth it to truly step into the best aspects of yourself, to truly stretch yourself. Because I'll tell you, I was a girl who started with nothing, no friends, no people around them, really, really subliminally depressed. And I started to understand why I did certain things in my life. And I started to understand why things were connecting. And I realized that all of my original framework was kind of bullshit. So I needed to rewire it. I needed to recreate it. I needed to start over. And that's truly what I believe mind rewiring is starting over, because you get the opportunity to see something from a different perspective. So fuck the generational wealth gap is really focused on closing not just this wealth gap for you, but it's also creating a plan for your next generation and next generation and next generation. Because what I did not want was for me to go through all this pain, all of this hard things, to then have my next generation have to redo the cycle. No, not on my watch. Not on my watch. So, in order to truly give the cycle a shot, you have to communicate. You have to bring other people into the fold. You have to give up control. Ooh, and that one for me, that one we're still working on. And you have to surrender to what's next for you, to what you could be, rather than holding on to who you are because you're so worried that if you let it go, that's it. And I'll tell you, I've taken a lot of jumps of faith. But I promise you, if you take a jump, you will never regret it. Because no matter what we are learning, there are no losses, there are only lessons. So please, every week, come join me to really focus and togetherness on a community around how to close the generational wealth gap, not just for you, but also for your entire family. Because that's how we really create billions of people of change and billions of dollars worth of change. Because I want to help people who want to change the world. And I know that there are many of us out there who want to change the world. And I want it to be aligned, and I want it to feel good for me, and I want everyone to have the life that they desire. So let's get started on creating a definition of wealth for you and figuring out, what is your issue? Is it making money? Is it keeping money? Or is it truly growing money? Or at the end of the day, is it allocating money? There are so many different beliefs and ideas and connections and communications on how we communicate about wealth. And I am so freaking excited that you're here with me to get started. So we are going to have special guests. We are going to have an opportunity to bring people on. And we're also going to have guests from my community also speaking on the Fuck the Generational Wealth Gap podcast. So Until next time, my wonderful, beautiful friends, I am Elise Alexander, and we will see you next week.